What's going on, you beautiful, blessed boys and girls? Hope you're having the greatest day of your life. Today, I want to break down this ChatGPT AI. And as we move into this new age, I think it's kind of inevitable now to say, hey, this is going to play a big role in society moving forward. I've played around a lot with ChatGPT lately, kind of done a lot of research around it. And I kind of want to break down today the dangers that I think of it, because I do think it poses a pretty big threat to humanity. And we've had some pretty smart people put some pretty scary things out there. So we'll go over that. I want to talk about the benefits of it, how I think you can use it in pretty much any role you're in to better your life. And also I want to talk about, as a content creator, somebody who's putting things out every day, what I think that means for a content creator. As I've already seen, kind of laughed a few times now, as I've seen exact word for word threads by some people that I even know on Twitter that are obviously just plugging things into this AI bot. And it's, tell me the best thread on why people should eat protein. And it just spits out a really good informative thread about why people should eat protein. But now I'm seeing that same thing on 5 people's timelines. And so they're obviously copying it word for word. I want to talk about that a lot, what I think that means for the future. So let's hop in, guys. If you haven't played around with ChatGPT at all, I would recommend doing so. It's really cool. It's great for generating ideas. Even when you're just thinking about hacks or little best things, it's really cool to be able to plug things into there and have it spit out some different ideas for you. So I think as far as generating ideas, increasing efficiency on some of those ideas, it can be a really helpful tool. I think that's definitely a big benefit of it. I think another big positive of this is just the access to information. I think we take for granted, honestly, as humans right now, that we live in an age where it's never been easier. The playing field has certainly been leveled. I think even a couple generations ago, in order to make money, have success, you kind of had one blueprint: get good grades, go to college, get good grades, try and work 60-hour weeks or whatever you need to do to climb that corporate ladder, work for 40 years. That was kind of your end goal, right? That was to get to the spot you wanted to be. You had to just put a lot of work and time and follow these corporate models. I no longer think you have to do that. And I think AI, ChatGPT, the internet as a whole has made the playing field very level. Even an easy example is just look at the stock market, right? 20, 30 years ago, nobody could really just hop on and invest themselves. Today, I can go to ChatGPT, I can go to some AI, I can use some free tools that are available for everybody and just find out some index fund stocks that are very low upfront costs that I can just put money in, that maybe I care about dividends or whatever that is. I can do all the research I want in about a matter of an hour, just from a lot of these AI tools. And so I think that's really helpful. That's really cool. You're no longer reliant on an advisor maybe that's charging you a big fee to tell you got to get in XYZ, you got to get out here. You can use a lot of these tools to build long-term wealth. I think that's really cool. Another potential benefit, I think, is, the customer experience. It is pretty neat. And I think anybody who's been on social media might know this. Now, there is a danger of this too that I'll touch upon here in a minute. But the cool thing is, if you were to scroll my Twitter feed right now, my Instagram feed, even my YouTube feed, whatever that would be, it learns me. The AI kind of knows who I am, what I like. I mean, I'm not seeing Nancy Pelosi and Donald Trump stuff on there, man. I'm seeing motivational content, people that are inspiring me. It gets to know you a little better. And so I think the customer experience is very cool in a lot of ways for that. The potential downside to that is, man, if you are going on and you're arguing every day about politics and this and that and negativity, well, guess what? That's what's going to come up on your feed. So, the antidote for this is obviously just to take ownership of it and say, hey, it's only giving me what I like. When people tell me all the time, social media is toxic, social media is this or that, I say, well, that's 100% your fault. You're going in there and choosing to do that every day. So what you need to do is unfollow the negativity, curate a very positive feed. I know Joe Rogan did a thing one time where he just searched crocodiles every day for 30 days. And then his whole feed he was showing is just all about crocodiles, man. And so whatever you like, the AI is going to give you back. This artificial intelligence is basically going to say, hey, we know Tyler likes this kind of stuff. Let's give him a lot more of this stuff and expose him to this kind of cool stuff. So I think that's kind of a positive thing that can also, again, have some danger to it. And I think you'll see as we kind of move along here that, I don't think this is neither good or bad. I think it's the same as a cell phone. I can use my cell phone to access the Bible, awesome sermons, network with great people and great minds all across the world. Or I can use my cell phone to look at pornography and do some really negative things on it. So I believe it's more of a tool, and it's how you choose to use it that's going to matter. Let's now hop into some of the dangers and the pitfalls that I see with AI and ChatGPT and some things I think we need to be aware of. Now, look, my boy Elon Musk, who I'm chatting with pretty much every day. Now, we've interacted a few times on Twitter, which is pretty cool. He had a pretty dire warning a few years back. And this is when I really became aware that, hey, man, a lot of the smart people in this space are really starting to say this is a problem. So I'm going to link up a little clip here. And you can listen to our boy Elon and what he thinks some of the dangers are.
So what happened with you where you decided, or you took on a more fatalistic attitude? Like, what was there any specific thing, or was it just the inevitability of our future?
I try to convince people to slow down AI, to regulate AI. This was futile. I tried for years.
This seems like a scene in a movie where the robots are going to fucking take over and you're freaking me out. Nobody listened.
Nobody listened.
No one. Are people more inclined to listen today? It seems like an issue that's brought up more often over the last few years than it was maybe 5-10 years ago. It seemed like science fiction.
Maybe they will. So far they haven't. I think people don't, like, normally the way that regulations work is very slow. Very slow indeed. So usually there'll be some new technology. It will cause damage or death. There will be an outcry. There will be an investigation. Years will pass. There will be some sort of insight committee. There will be rulemaking. Then there will be oversight, eventually regulations. This all takes many years. This is the normal course of things. If you look at, say, automotive regulations, how long did it take for seatbelts to be implemented, to be required? You know, the auto industry fought seatbelts, I think, for more than a decade. Successfully fought any regulations on seatbelts, even though the numbers were extremely obvious. If you had a seatbelt on, you would be far less likely to die or be seriously injured. It was unequivocal. And the industry fought this for years successfully. Eventually, after many, many people died, regulators insisted on seatbelts. This time frame is not relevant to AI. You can't take 10 years from the point at which it's dangerous. It's too late.
And you feel like this is decades away or years away from being too late? If you have this fatalistic attitude and you feel like it's going, we're in almost like a doomsday countdown.
It's not necessarily a doomsday countdown. It's a
out of control countdown.
Out of control, yeah. People call it the singularity, and that's probably a good way to think about it. It's a singularity. It's hard to predict, like a black hole, what happens past the event horizon.
Right. So once it's implemented, it's very different because it will be able to.
Once the genie's out of the bottle, what's going to happen?
And it will be able to improve itself.
Yes.
That's where it gets spooky, right? The idea that it can do thousands of years of innovation very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And then we'll be just ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
We will be like this ridiculous biological shitting, pissing thing trying to stop the gods. No, stop. We like living with a finite lifespan and watching, Norman Rockwell paintings.
It could be terrible and it could be great. It's not clear.
So what he alludes to is really scary, and he thinks that he thinks there's a possibility that AI could keep improving upon itself and eventually not need humans. And eventually, what if it decides it's making its own decisions? There's no morality, there's no moral compass to this thing. And what if it just decides the planet is better without humans, and so I'm gonna just self-destruct humans, right? There's some really potential scary things as it moves forward. I know anybody who's seen Terminator can probably, relate to that. I think a lot of times these movies come from actual ideas that people have. And so I never really thought of this as any kind of threat until I started listening to Elon Musk, started listening to some of the smarter people in this space where they're saying, maybe we need to slow down. Maybe we don't just need to go full speed ahead and kind of give these things that have no moral compass full control to keep learning, keep getting better in real time. And so I think that is a definite danger and poses a threat. The more I interact with Elon Musk, the more I think there is a chance he is actually an AI bot sent from the future to protect humanity. I know this sounds crazy, man, but this guy's a guy that never sleeps. He builds Tesla. He's a billionaire, richest guy in the world, trying to save democracy on one hand. He's a villain from other people. It's kind of crazy, man. I kind of do think there's a small, slight chance that he is from the future or some kind of sense, and he's sent here to warn us, man. So that's my little tangent. Naval, one of the great thought leaders of our time, several years ago, he had this quote that the most powerful people in the world right now are the people that are programming the AI and programming these bots and programming the algorithms on social media. That's who's controlling what we think and what we do and what we say. The people that are programming these and writing these algorithms can be totally towards one side of the aisle. Maybe they want to turn everybody to a more liberal viewpoint or a more white supremacist viewpoint or whatever that might be, that the people programming these bots and programming these AI and ChatGPT and all these things, they hold a lot of power. And it's going to continue to grow and rise as humans become more dependent on these things. And so there needs to be checks and balances in there. I think that we need to have a level playing field across the board. I've always said that, hey, if you want something to really be fair, then you have one side build it and the other side has to okay it. So what that would look like for me is maybe, all the sides of the left or whatever build it, and then the sides of the right have to say, okay, yeah, this is fair, because we can't be having a question just as simple as that. Tell me something good about a former president. No, we don't do that. There's nothing. Tell me something good about a president. Oh, he's great. He's the greatest thing ever. There's obviously a very clear bias there. And so I think that's something we need to be very cognizant about as we move forward. And, not to get too conspiratorial theory, but I do think a lot of these things are by design to start to shape the way that humanity goes. And so I think we need to be very weary of that moving forward. The last one, I already touched on this, but job displacement, I think, is a huge issue. Andrew Yang was starting to talk about this a lot with the truck drivers and saying, hey, man, this is a big area that Americans and Canadians, we depend on truck drivers. They make a great salary. And in 10, 12, 15 years, there will no longer be a need for truck drivers. What are we going to do? Where are these people going to go? What jobs are they going to get? Because it's, they're just going to be self-driving trucks. You can see this in a lot of fields and a lot of industries. There's being a lot of cuts in tech. As I work with a lot of clients right now who are in tech, and they've said there's massive 18, 24% layoffs at a lot of these companies. And they attribute that to, well, they're building the programs that are essentially replacing themselves. For a while, I managed the largest bank in the US for about 5 years. And, it dawned upon me many times that they incentivized us to do things that would eventually replace us. So a couple easy examples for that was, we had a lot of great technology in that bank, which was amazing, made the customers' jobs better, life's easier, good thing all around, to be honest. But what it wasn't good for was the worker. And as we signed people up for the app that could do the things the tellers could normally do, as we signed people up to use the ATMs and the smart ATMs, I went from managing a staff of 14 down to 6 in the same building because we just no longer needed those 8 people. Machines and AI and other things could do the things that those people normally had to do. So I think looking forward into the future, we need to really think about that. What's that going to look like for humanity as we just lose a lot of these jobs? And one of the other industries I'm in, obviously poker, this has become a really big issue. It's called RTA, that's real-time assistance. Shout out to Joey Ingram, he calls it the dream machine. I think some of the players are using this now to cheat, and it's why I don't play bigger stakes anymore in poker. I don't believe there's a lot of fair games. You can get free programs now that will basically tell you can plug in very quickly the hand you're in, the position you're in, what the guy has done to you, what you've done, all the actions, and it will tell you the GTO, game theory optimal, best play to make. Now we can debate that, back and forth, whether humans can outthink that or not. But a few years ago, we had Doug Polk. He was the greatest heads up player probably of this generation, man. And he played this bot back and forth for many, many hands, and the bot crushed him. And we're seeing this in other games now. Chess, the chess bots are crushing these grandmasters. They don't have a chance in all these other games, and they're increasing in ability. And so I think that is a big thing moving forward, is what we're going to do in humanity, because I don't see this stopping anytime soon. Them just saying, well, we've gotten to this point. Let's just let humanity stop here. It seems to keep going and going. And so I think that goes back to the first point of what Elon was talking about. What's this look like 30 years in the future? I think we need to start to have those conversations. So as a content creator and a guy that puts out a lot of content, you know, I mentioned in the early onset that I'm starting to see this more and more every day on my timeline. I'm starting to see word for word the same threads, the same platitudes, the same tweets, you know, from some people I know and some people I don't. I think it becomes more and more important to become authentic. As we see the rise of ChatGPT and as we see it easier to use a lot of these tools, I go back to something that the GOAT, Zach Hommel, I'm going to put up a picture of this guy. I love this guy to death. But he told me, hey, if you want to stand out, you know, really in the world and make a difference, what you have to do, man, is if you're sharing on social media, you have to not really look at it as content. You have to really just focus all your energy on living your best life, being really authentic, sharing the highs, sharing the lows, letting people in as you learn and grow. And so I think that becomes even more and more important as we move forward with ChatGPT and a lot of this stuff. You know, I could go in right now and just plug into these programs, fire me off the best tweet on health, the best tweet on fitness, the best tweets on fatherhood, the best tweets on mindset. It'll compute out just awesome tweets that have the best chance of going viral. So I think you need to ask yourself, and maybe if you're a content creator, maybe, you know, what your goals are. If it's just to go viral, you know, then maybe use that as more of a tool. But I also think, you know, if your goal is really to impact and to share the journey and to become more human with people as some of this stuff becomes more, then I think you need to take a hard look at what that looks like. For me, I'll use it to get ideas. I'll use it to kind of get my mind going, but I'm not going to copy word for word. I haven't copied word for word since my college days, and I won't go there on papers. I do think being authentic comes back to being everything. And, you know, in this age now of, you know, social media was supposed to make us more social, but the average person feels way less connected now. It's the reason I'm moving more to getting my kids outside every single day and off tablets. We're outside for hours a day. It's the reason, you know, tomorrow I'm going to go and host a live event with my boy, Zach Hommel, and we're going to have 8 guys come from all over the country, no phones, no screens, no anything for 5 or 6 days and just live life in community. And, you know, I think you'll see kind of two sides of the coin with humanity as these tools become better. You're seeing some people already that say, I want to live in the metaverse, man. I don't really like my life here on Earth as much as I like the idea of just plugging in and being whoever I want to be with no consequences and this and that. And then you're seeing people more along the lines of me saying, man, I want the real world. You know, I like it here. I like the fact that I can form relationships. I can bond with people. We can have these deeper connections than I think we can have offline. And so I think you're going to kind of have two schools of thought as we come through this. I'd love to know you guys' thoughts on this. Maybe if you've played around with ChatGPT, you've played around with some of these AI tools. I'd love to know where you think we're headed as humanity, what you think needs to be done. If you kind of believe Elon Musk and we need to be worried, or maybe not worried is the right word, but just take some precautions as we move forward as a species. I'd love to know your thoughts. So link them below. I appreciate you guys so much. At the end of the day, man, we can't control a lot of these things, so I don't waste a lot of mental energy on it. I do think it's healthy to put these things out here, have these discussions, start to think about them, start to talk about them. There's no denying that, hey, in 10 years, the world's going to look a lot different than it looks now. I think you'd be foolish to just ignore all of that and say, well, I'm just going to bury my head in the sand. I think you need to be aware and kind of have a game plan moving forward. So love to know what you guys think, man. Drop a like on the video, drop a comment, give us a subscribe. I appreciate you guys. Go have the greatest day of your life. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Let's get it, baby.